Great. And it's Ken Kraetzer for Campus Media. We are in Rome on our way to the Association of the U.S. Army Conference in Germany later this week and have a chance to visit with our friend Father Benedict Croell from the Order of Preachers, the Dominican Fathers. He is Director of Mission Advancement at the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas here in Rome, and we've met in his travels. Father Croell is a native of the United States and Colorado. Father, good to see you. How's your year been going here in Rome? You've had some very exciting news.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. Of course, it's called the Angelicum is our university. It's called the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas. And we're here across the street from the Roman Forum, which is where we're located. It's in the neighborhood where Julius Caesar grew up. We have about 1,000 students from over 100 countries. And the big news that you're talking about is that Pope Leo XIV, who's an alumnus of our Faculty of Canon Law, has just been named the successor to St. Peter. So we're very excited. And he's a big, so now among the last 4 popes in the history of the church, in our recent times, 2 of them, including St. John Paul II, they both are now our distinguished alumni of our university. So it's very exciting to have, to know that we could be educating a future pope right now. So.
Well, that's terrific. I know you have Dominicans. I'm a graduate of Providence College in Rhode Island, which is administered by the Dominican Fathers, and very proud to be an alumnus. Tell us a little bit about students who come from all over the world to study here, some of the things that they study, some of the programs that they participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say the biggest population of students that we have are actually Americans, but after that it would be Italians, then it would be Indians, probably Nigerians, and quite a few from Western Europe, as well as Latin America and Southeastern Asia. So yeah, it's from every country you can imagine. And they're here, because we're a pontifical university, it's basically a seminary for upper level studies. So the kind of men who come here, most of them are priests or seminarians already. But we do have quite a few religious sisters from all over the world, and even about 200 of our students are lay students as well. So they're doing upper level degrees in philosophy, theology, canon law, and even social sciences. Those are our 4 faculties. But they're getting like a master's. They're getting we have a pontifical degree that we grant, which has oversight from the Vatican, from the dicastery for Catholic education and culture. And so we grant pontifical degrees, and we actually accredit, I think, over 20 institutions throughout the world that are able to grant pontifical degrees and we help them to do that so that they can go on at the lower level where they are and then come to Rome and study at a higher level of a graduate degree. So.
Well, that's terrific. What would be some of the subjects that a priest or a seminarian might study when they're here? Certainly history of the church, history of the faith. What would be some of the areas of study for your programs?
Yeah, so for example, I actually did the license in theology here after I was in Kenya for 5 years as a missionary, back when I knew you and Carrie. And so we were there. I came here to do the license, and I did a license in spiritual theology on the writings of St. Catherine of Siena and what she says about the precious blood of Jesus. So that was just one topic, but there's lots of different topics. We have moral theology, we have kind of systematic or dogmatic theology. So like if somebody's writing about the Trinity at an upper level, or they could be writing about Catholic social teaching. So one of our brothers just wrote on moral theology about like economics and kind of moral understanding of economics and how to guide people in the corporate world based on sound teachings of the Church and Jesus Christ. So it's pretty interactive with the world. It touches on all different areas, but obviously the degrees that we study here are going to be from a classical point of view. So when you study here philosophy, you're going to study the classical ancient philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, and those would be the natural wisdom that we lay the foundation to study theology from a classical point of view. So, and that's what you would need for priesthood. So we also have seminarians who are studying for the priesthood here as well, from all over the world, and a number from the North American College here in Rome, and then we have like priests who come and they do upper level degrees called the license, so they can teach in a seminary or Catholic college or university, and then they might get the doctorate, so they can teach it at the upper levels at any Catholic university in the world. So, and those are the ones that, typically are going to go on to become bishops, So we could be educating a future bishop right now. So that's certainly, we definitely are educating future bishops. I guarantee that, because a new bishop is named, every so many weeks. A new alumnus of our university is named as a bishop. So it has a very big footprint, a big impact on the whole church throughout the world, really. So.
And it's so extraordinary that Pope Leo comes from Chicago, from Villanova University, served in South America, came to Rome and studied for his PhD here. I met one priest who said he had also studied here and used to have coffee with him during breaks on occasion. What are some of the remembrances, some of the things that people remember about when Pope Leo was a student here?
Well, so Pope Leo did 2 degrees here. He was a deacon, a transitional deacon for the Augustinian order when he came here to start his studies. So we've got some pictures of him when he was quite young, including his registration photo when we have all of his grades and everything. All those are, they're protected under the European Union, as far as like private information. But he did quite well, and so we have all the classes that he took, the professors that he had, and he had already had what he needed for the priesthood, and he was getting ready to be ordained to the priesthood as a transitional deacon, and so he took a 3-year course on the license in Canon Law, so which allows you to function as a canon lawyer, but also like to serve in a chancery or potentially to teach at a lower level, but mostly to deal with basic canon law questions and marriage annulments and things like that. And then right after that, he was ordained to the priesthood. During that time, while he was here studying, he was ordained to the priesthood. And then a few years later, in 1987, I believe, I think it's 87, he did the doctorate. So he wrote his dissertation on the Augustinian understanding of obedience in the Augustinian order. And of course, this prepared him to become the superior of all the Augustinians in the world, because he was the head of the entire order, and also to become a bishop and eventually a cardinal. And of course, under Pope Francis, he was made the head of the dicastery for bishops. So this is it's a committee of people that work to do research with the nuncios, with the ambassadors from various countries to the Vatican, from the Vatican to various countries that work to liaison with the church throughout the world, and in particular to choose the future bishops. And actually, there's another alumna from here. Her name is Sister Raffaella Petrini, and she's a Franciscan sister of the Eucharist, and she is head of the Vatican government for Vatican City. So she handles all the financial transactions of Vatican City. But she's also they've made her. She also did her doctorate here. She's an Italian, and she did her doctorate here, and she's also on the dicastery for bishops as well. So she's one of the few women that are on the dicastery to help to look at all the candidates and decide who would be the best bishop. So, I mean, obviously, Cardinal Prevost Cardinal Robert Prevost was his name before he became Pope Leo XIV, was very important to Pope Francis in choosing who would be the next bishop, the next bishops and the next cardinals, and all that would happen in the church. So it was a very important position. And of course, the crazy thing is that when he came here, well, he was scheduled to do our commencement and to do the closing mass for our academic year here at the Angelicum. And he, of course, he was elected Pope when Pope Francis died. And so he canceled and couldn't come. He lost, as you said, he lost control of his schedule. And but he has communicated with our rector, and I'm sure he'll come at some point very, very soon to his Roman alma mater.
Absolutely exciting news that an American, someone from Chicago, all our friends at Villanova are really excited, and then also his being an alumnus of the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, administered by the Dominican fathers. Father, you've had a tremendous career. We met when you were a missionary in Kenya and developing educational programs there. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about SOPS and your career, why you joined the church, and some of the elements of your education and some of the places that you have served.
Yeah, so I was a seminarian for the Archdiocese of Denver, and I ended up discovering the Dominicans through the example of the Benedictine monks at Conception Abbey. And I decided to join the Dominicans because I didn't have it in me to be a monk, although I love the monks. And I joined the Eastern Province Dominicans, and I studied at the Dominican House of Studies in Washington, D.C. But I went to Providence College first, of course, did the license there. Did the master's there before I entered novitiate. And I did the Bachelor of Sacred Theology at the Dominican House of Studies in D.C. After I was ordained in 1998, then I was sent to Cincinnati, Ohio, where I worked in our parish, St. Gertrude, which is where our novitiate is. And then after that, I was sent to our mission in East Africa, which covers Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Southern Sudan. And I was made novice master for 7 different countries over there. And that's when I got to know you really well, and you helped us, you and your wife helped us to start a school, which we, from families that had kind of fallen apart, and we started a school, and we've educated, hundreds of kids, and through that, many people. Some of them are quite successful today, and they've come back to help us also. And then after that, I took a break. I finished 5 years in our missions in East Africa. I was in Kenya, in Western Kenya, a place called Kisumu, where I was assigned, near Lake Victoria. And I came back and I did the license here at the Angelicum some 17 years ago. After that, I was going to go on for the doctorate, and my province said, no. So they made me vocation director. So I did 2 terms as vocation director at the Dominican House of Studies in D.C. And then after I finished that time, the successor to St. Dominic here, the Master of the Order, asked if I would come back to start development here at the university, because I could speak Italian better, about as good as any American could speak Italian. So I came back, and I've been here now for 8 years, and I was just named the rector of our college on the back side of it's a residential college for priests on the back side of our university, and we have about 50 priests from all over the world, and it's a pretty simple place, very austere, and most of them study here at the Angelicum. So just trying to figure all that out right now, and so that's my new assignment for now. But I'm also still involved with development a little bit, and also with public relations here at the university and receiving guests, and we do have kind of an itinerant preaching mission that we're doing also out of the university with a team of about 30 Dominicans from all over the world here. So we take, like I took our Dean of Theology, and I take some of the students like from France or from Poland or whatever, and we go and we do a parish mission in the United States, and we've done some in Italy now, and we're getting ready to just go into other parts of Europe, just kind of coordinating the efforts of teams of Dominicans going in and leading a parish mission on the presence of God. So we've done that now probably close to 30 times in over the last 5 years, 6 years.
That's terrific.
So, yeah.
Hey, you mentioned how in some lay people can get involved in educational programs here, and you got a lot of work going on. You've got you're achieving renovations in the physical complex that you manage. What are the ways that those interested in supporting the Dominican order might get involved?
Yeah, well, we have lots of needs. We have massive renovations going on in our 16th century building here, which is roughly 450 years old. It's a former monastery of cloistered Dominican nuns, and we're restoring it back to its original glory. We just uncovered frescoes under 5 coats of paint on the upper levels, and those are all being restored right now. And we're so the physical renovations of the whole complex, which is, again, it's a very important building because it's right across from the Roman Forum. It's not as old as the Roman Forum, but it's 450 years old. And then the college on the back side, of course, is in a 17th century building in a 1950s addition. So there's all of that, but then there's also the academic project part of it, which is really to kind of to really find scholarships for the priests that come from all these developing countries. It's so important to be able to educate them with sound philosophy, sound theology, especially in the tradition of the Dominican tradition of St. Thomas Aquinas, obviously, to give them that rock solid foundation so that they'll be ready to engage the culture as soon as they go back to their own countries, and to be able to preach the gospel and to spread the faith. So that's really important, and that's our mission. And so I feel like if people really wanted to help us, that's an area that we need desperately for people. We need scholarships. So for about $20,000 a year, you can educate a religious priest and full ride for a Dominican for about $20,000. But and the tuition here for 1 year is about a little over $3,000 US.
Wow!
So it's amazing what you can do. That doesn't include living expenses, but that's. So, any donation, they could go to angelicum.it and then find there's a give button there, and you can even designate your donation. And if you go scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see my contacts.
Okay.
You can get a hold of me directly. So.
And Father Benedict Croell, just got to take another look at this amazing view at your window. Just, if you would, Father, tell us about some of the history and extraordinary architecture and building just outside your window here.
Yeah, well, what you're looking at there is called the Vittoriano, which is the monument that's a secular monument to Victor Emanuele II, the first king of the United Italian Peninsula, after the putting together of the formation of the Italian state. That's part of the Capitoline Hill. And just behind it there, as you can see, is the Church of St. Mary of the Altar to Heaven, Santa Maria in Ara Coeli, which has got the tomb and some of the relics of the mother of the Emperor Constantine inside of it. That is a Franciscan church that goes back some 700 years. And obviously that whole hill used to be a Roman temple at one point. But yeah, you're looking there into the start of the Roman Forum, going left, and off to the left down there would be the Colosseum. But all of this is the historic center. And
not far is you have a church that's dedicated to St. Catherine and St. Francis?
Actually, this church right here, if you just go right over here a little bit, this whole church there is the Church of St. Catherine of Magnanapoli, St. Catherine of Siena. And it's the equivalent of the cathedral for the military diocese for Italy. So like it's a diocese. They call it an ordinariate, but it's set up to serve the military services for the state of Italy, for the country of Italy. So this would be all the diocesan priests serving the military personnel throughout, or serving the world throughout, serving Italy through, serving their military throughout the world. So that's dedicated to St. Catherine, and and that's of course I think it's a 10th century military tower.
Wow.
It was built into the markets of Trajan, the Emperor Trajan, right there. So,
Yeah. And a church dedicated to St. Francis. Certainly, we visit St. Francis Prep in Queens, New York.
Yeah. There's various churches dedicated to St. Francis. I think obviously the biggest, most important would be in Assisi, not that far from here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's great to see. It's an amazing place. And Father Benedict Croell, maybe we'll just finish. What's been a highlight of your career as a Dominican? Is there a moment that stood out to you that you really treasure in your career?
Yeah, I think probably one of the greatest things for me is being a parochial vicar in Cincinnati, and then going to our missions in East Africa and being able to bring a retreat that we started, that we helped to bring to the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, and bringing that kind of an East African equivalent of that, called Uzima, which is a Swahili word for divine life. And we brought that retreat to East Africa. And even the parish mission that we do now is a variation on that we do now at the parish level. And it's a focus on the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. And I think, as Dominicans, it was St. Thomas Aquinas, who's the patron of our university here. Our university is called the Angelicum, named after the angelic doctor. So Thomas Aquinas is the common doctor of the church, one of the great stars of the Dominican order. And of course, it was he that wrote all of the extraordinary Eucharistic hymns that we sing in our parish, in our Catholic churches. So the O Salutaris, the Tantum Ergo, those great Eucharistic hymns, those Sacrum Convivium, those were written by Thomas Aquinas. And so the Eucharistic theology that captures the real presence of Jesus present in the gift of the Holy Eucharist, to me, to be able to share that with everybody is the greatest gift I've had as a priest.
Well, Father Benedict Croell from the Order of Preachers, Dominican Fathers, Director of Mission Advancement at the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, the Angelicum, here in Rome. A pleasure to visit with you, just to hear of the work of this institution and the work that you've achieved in your career. It's great to visit with you once again.
Thank you very much. Come visit us.
Absolutely. Do it again very soon, hopefully. Great to see you. This is Ken Kraetzer for Cam Vets Media, a proud Providence College graduate school run by the Dominican Fathers in Rhode Island. Great to see you. This will be in Germany next week for going back to one of our military conferences. Thank you, Father. This is Ken Kraetzer. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.